Hey everybody, it's Norm from Tested and hope you're having a wonderful weekend. Today I have a show and tell / figure review as well as a quick diorama build. Well, quick, I hope, diorama build for this figure I have in front of me. Of course, it's Luke Skywalker from Hot Toys' 40th anniversary of the Empire Strikes Back line. This figure just started shipping this year. So I love Luke. I have a couple of different Lukes in my collection at 1/6 scale. But when I think of like the quintessential pilot Luke Skywalker, I think of him in this orange jumpsuit. And I think in episode 5, Luke probably has the most varied and the best outfits out of all the costuming he wears throughout the entire saga. Much better than the kind of the robes he wears in A New Hope. Maybe not as cool as the black tunic that he wears in Return of the Jedi, but between what he's wearing on the Hoth when he's riding the Tauntaun at the beginning of the movie and his awesome Bespin outfit to, of course, when he's flying over to Dagobah to meet Yoda, and as well as flying the Snowspeeder in the Battle of Hoth, it's this iconic orange jumpsuit. And so this is wonderfully rendered by Hot Toys, not only in the head sculpt, but as well as the costuming, mixed media, of course, wonderful tailoring, some great kind of weathering on the shoulders. I love this front pack here. You have some cool tubes that go into his pockets, some strapping, and his not quite Uggs, but you know, his Hoth boots as well. And they do have nice ankle movement, so very posable. I have him posed right now with his ESB blaster, a riff off of the DL-44 blaster, Han's blaster in A New Hope. A little bit different scope, different front muzzle, but really nice at 6 scale, and it has that iconic broom handle design. A bunch of accessories come along with this. So not only do you have his hairstyle from Hoth, this can actually be popped off via a magnet and swapped with, for example, this Snoopy cap. If I can get that on. So that's because one of the best accessories for Luke in this figure is it also comes with his pilot's helmet. Yes, I love this 1/6 scale pilot's helmet. Comes apart both sides. The visor does go up and down, and he has a bunch of other gloved accessories as well. Let's take this off for a second and get his hair piece back on. Not only does he have his blaster, of course he has his lightsaber. So the lightsaber comes with the hilt as well as a couple of swappable blade pieces. And as they've done for a while now, there's also a swappable powered up version where you take out his entire forearm, swap out the batteries, and then this hilt doesn't actually come out because there's a wire that goes into an LED and it illuminates the translucent blade as well. So we could be using that. But my favorite accessory for this piece might be this guy right here, which you may recognize as what he pulls out of the Snowspeeder after it crashes. And it's the grappling hook. It's what he pulls out and then launches to get to the underside of that AT-AT and then throw up this thermal detonator. Very cool that they included this, and seeing this accessory gave me an idea for a display solution for Luke, because while he looks very cool in the stoic pose with the blaster, or you can do like an action pose with the lightsaber, I think we're going to try for something a little more dynamic with that grappling hook. So what I have here is a display case that I've had at home for a while now. That's not currently in rotation. It's not currently put to use because I just built some custom display shelves a while back, if you recall, on Tested. So this has been empty since then, and this is a really nice tall display case with some really nice features, some built-in LED lights, easy assembly, it has a mirrored back, which I really like, but it's really made for quarter scale statues and figures. So it's great for kind of the 18-inch tall collectibles. 12-inch character does fit in here, but maybe a little bit too much negative space at the top. It's kind of not the best use, I think, of this style of display case, but could be perfect if I'm going to do a underbelly of an AT-AT diorama, which is what I've been working on for the past couple days. So one of the nice things about this display case is this comes apart pretty easily. All it is 4 pieces of acrylic, including this mirrored back piece, sandwiched in by a top and bottom piece, which are actually the same. Like I could flip this upside down and it'd be functionally exactly the same. So top/bottom houses the batteries. They're independent from each other. They can run off USB power as well, but you have these 4 little LED spots that also, thankfully, are removable and adjustable, so you can actually aim them. And if I pop this top off, the pressure fit is quite tight. There it goes. If I pop the top off, you can see that it's a pretty sizable base here, about 11 inches by about 7.5, 8 inches deep. And if I think of this as this top piece as the underbelly of the AT-AT, what I've done is I've gone into Tinkercad and created a rough approximation of that base. So let's head into that software and take a look at the creation of that model. All right, so that was the fun of creating the rough approximation of the bottom of that AT-AT in Tinkercad. Sent the file to my Elegoo Jupyter 3D printer, and this is what came out of it, which is, I think, pretty good. This is the first attempt. I realized that dimensionally, I could go maybe a little bit bigger to stretch out that build volume, and so I did a couple more prints, including stage 2, which is one I covered in some primer for that gray. And then I realized, well, I need some holes actually for the LED spotlights because I still want to make use of those. Then went for a third version and threw in some paint and some oil paints, weathered it up. And this is the bottom, the underbelly of the AT-AT. It will actually be displayed like so, with those iconic 3 kind of pieces that you see on the AT-AT. These three actually are holes. You're supposed to be able to see all the way through them, but this is just a small section, a slice of that. So you have some interesting topography here, and this, if we can put this on, yes, perfectly fits on top of the LED lights. Yes. Then gets flipped upside down, and that can get put on top of the display case, and it's what I will then attach Luke to. So the next steps are I want to adhere this painted print onto the display. I don't want to do it permanently because I want the option in the future to swap it out to make use of the display another way. And thankfully, the top can also work as the bottom, so I can use that as the base or something. So I'm going to actually affix it temporarily using some hook and loop. I'll just adhere it to the 4 sides here, as well as the 4 sides of this. And then I got to find out and position Luke and figure out where he's going to be posed and positioned underneath this piece, and where the grappling hook is actually going to stick to. And wherever it sticks to, I'll need to cut a hole there, cut it all the way through. So not only can we attach this magnetic top of the grapple to the underside of that I also need a way to hold up Luke as well. And I can use his dynamic flight stand inverted upside down and kind of run that the length of this cable. But I also have some armature wire as well, which might hide better. And I'll sneak that again through a hole, drill in, and then wrap that around Luke's waist, hold him in place, pose him with his proper accessories, the lightsaber, the helmet, and we should have a really nice display piece. All right, so let's get to re-outfitting Luke, adhering the painted print to the top here, and then figuring out the pose and where everything's gonna get mounted to. So here's where we're at. I attached some, it's not actually hook and loop, it's a 3M dual lock. Very good stuff on the underside of the back of the underside of the and then match that with the top of the display case so I could easily affix it as well as remove it if need be. That let me do a little bit of staging to figure out how Luke was going to be posed, and more importantly, where on this diorama piece should I attach the grapple hook. It turns out it's kind of a little bit toward the center, but more toward the back. Makes sense. Made an indentation, a mark on that, and then drilled a hole through that using a small 1/4-inch Forstner bit. So Forstner bit through here, and then a larger hole on the back. And that was so I could then CA glue a small magnet on the inside. And that lets me have, at least for the grapple gun, a way to have it stick to the inside of that. Very satisfying indeed. But this isn't going to support the weight of Luke. No, this is just really for posing the grapple gun. And it's right by where this hole is. And so I'm going to then string some armature wire through that. And in the display base, I also drilled 2 1/4-inch holes through the top and bottom of this piece. So instead of having the 3D printed piece be the load-bearing aspect of the diorama, the armature is actually going to go through the top, and then I can tape it down, really affix it. So really it's being supported by the actual display, not the diorama piece and that dual lock. So all we're going to do now is kind of piece things together. I have some of this armature wire. We're not going to need all of it, but I'm going to need enough to wrap it around Luke's waist, hide, I think, like I said, in his belt or in his vest there, and then see if we can get the whole thing posed. Around, and there you go. That is Luke hanging from the underbelly of the as he does in the Battle of Hoth and Empire Strikes Back. I think a really novel use of my extra tall display case here. And oh, let's go turn off our main light and activate our LED spotlights and see how that looks. We have some on the bottom, very dramatic. I like that. And if we activate the one at the top, also pretty cool. A lot of different ways to potentially display this. The armature wire is kind of hidden. I think hidden enough with that grapple gun. And I just have it taped to the top here. I may have a more permanent solution. But for now, I'm pretty happy with how this ended up. Very simple Tinkercad model and print, and a nice way to display this snow speeder suit Luke. I've linked to where you can find this figure as well as a display case like this if you're in the market for one. But thank you so much for watching and joining me for this little build on a weekend. Have a wonderful rest of your weekend, and I'll see you next time. Bye.